I was a Classic WoW private server streamer. I kind of grew to be like the most watched Classic WoW private server streamer over the course of like 7 months, right? I like just started streaming. I streamed on Elysium. What the Elysium private server was, it was a continuation of Nostalrius, right? Nostalrius got shut down. They open sourced what they had. Elysium comes in and says, hey, we'll take over and we'll do a new fresh based off of the Nostalrius code base. Now, the people that ran Elysium were the same people that eventually made Turtle WoW, which is now getting shut down again. There's actually a lot to be said. There was a lot of drama. The Elysium people were taking money under the table, and there was all kinds of weird drama was happening. Then another guy comes in. His name's White Kidney. White Kidney was like the people's champion. He was like staff on Elysium, or he was like a GM or something. He like hijacked the server, like copied it, then deleted it, and then made a new server called Lights Hope, with not the people that were like stealing money. That was basically like, that was like the whole private server scene of like what happened in 2018. At the end of this, BlizzCon happened where they announced, or around that same time, I should say, they announced Classic WoW. So Classic WoW got announced, and it was this thing that everybody's like, oh my gosh, Classic WoW is here, it's coming, yada, yada, yada. And then slowly like my channel goes from like random memer Ret Paladin, okay? This is one of my old streams. This is stream number 7 from 2018.
Is this the Classic Plus waiting room?
The Classic WoW waiting room. Yeah, dude, my stream title for every single day for like 2 years was the WoW Classic waiting room. Esfand, what server will you be playing on for Classic? I want to play on Herod, but I don't know. We haven't decided yet. So anyway, that's an old meme. So yeah, this is like some of my first streams. I look like a tomato because I don't have good lighting, and the screen, dude, I don't have good lighting, and the screen is projecting the red from the fire onto my face. So I just look like a tomato. So this is kind of how I got started. I was just like kind of Ret Paladin memer. I eventually became the leader of this guild that we were in. We're still in Sanctum. So we were raid 3 in Sanctum. Like this is our old raid group, good stuff. Navani, man, this is crazy seeing some of these names, man. But yeah, I played a Ret Paladin, and I kind of got known on the server for just being this Ret Paladin try hard. But like, it was like a meme, but I did try hard and it was fun. Here I am dead. But we actually didn't clear Ragnaros this night, I'm pretty sure. Because this is our first Rag attempts. I don't think we cleared Rag, but it was like me and Drakova, who's like a lifelong friend of mine. We would do like all kinds of like Paladin Theorycraft stuff, and we actually ran this channel together. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. So me and Drakova would do a bunch of Ret Paladin stuff. Then the Classic announcement happened, and then I kind of became like the Classic WoW guy. So that's kind of like where I come from. Eventually, I got banned. Okay, I got banned, I got DMCA'd for 3 months. I can give like a more in-depth story sometime, but I got banned, and then I was on Blizzard's shit list. There is everybody has a shit list, okay? Every person, every company, everybody. And for me, being a prominent private server content creator who ends up getting DMCA'd, I was on the shit list. But over the course of the next year, like I just started making other content that was about Classic WoW without actually playing private servers, or rather streaming it. I still played, right? I mean, I had to raid Nax, you know, but I would play retail, and I would do other stuff. I started getting into IRL. I started getting into variety. I started a podcast, Classic Cast, right? So that was something we started years ago. And it kind of got to the point from I was being on the naughty list to I got to start working with Blizzard directly before Classic came out. Now, here's the thing with how Blizzard works and how just things like this work. At the end of the day, if you ever get a chance as like a content creator to like as a streamer or whatever, to talk to developers, what you say is nothing more than words, right? Like it's just feedback. It's just you're just like a mouthpiece. And this is the way that I give feedback on most things. This is how I feel. This is what I think. This is how other people think. This is why they think that, and then this is what you should do. That's like anytime I get a chance to talk to devs, and at this point I've gotten a lot of opportunities to talk to devs over the years. There's like a lot of specific things that happen in Classic that, like for example, they were originally only going to have 4 patches for Classic WoW, and I told them, I was like, you're gonna kill the game. You don't have enough content. Like content's not coming out fast enough if you have a patch every 6 months, right? If you're on a 2-year cycle of vanilla, every 6 months, and each patch is a raid tier, there's 11 patches in original vanilla. Other things were like some things with seal twisting. There was like some specific bug fixes and like animation stuff. Like seal twisting, that was for Burning Crusade eventually, or like some items not working. But like over the years, like I kind of had the opportunity to kind of like build that relationship. And they were like, oh, okay, Esfand's actually not a piece of shit. And to be fair, not everybody from private servers was, right? But that was their impression. And I literally had someone at Blizzard tell me this. They were like, before you came around, like there was not a single person that anybody could hang their hat on in like the Classic like private server community internally. Because just the impression of the private server people was so bad. I mean, it's not really a thing anymore. I mean, there's a lot of people that came from like myself, Guzu, Heo, I mean, there's a lot of people tips like a lot of us came from like the private server community, right? Thanks for batching, Esfand. No, I was actually one of the people that was against batching, and we talked about it in a classic cast, and like a lot of people really wanted batching. I wasn't hard against it, but this is what I told them about batching. There's gonna be some things that you're wrong about and some things that you're right about, and then they're gonna listen to whatever they're gonna listen to, right? One of them was batching that I still feel like I was right about this. On private servers, we had a 200 millisecond combat batch in actual vanilla, and nobody knew this because they actually wouldn't tell us things. They would just listen to us. And I said, here's what I'm worried about with batching. A lot of people say they want batching, and then there was a video that went out, and there was like a big community push for, yeah, we need spell batching. We need that. And I'm like, guys, I don't think people actually know what they're talking about. This is what I said to Blizzard at the time, but they were super pushing like no changes, and I was like not like a no changes person because I said no changes doesn't mean like I would meme no changes, right? And we joke about it, but like when it came down to brass tacks and actually talking about things, I was always like, hey, people say they want the authentic vanilla experience, but they don't really know what the authentic vanilla experience is. There's people that played 20 years ago and they don't remember everything. There's people that are playing on private servers that really, really enjoy it. And this was like the genesis of the big legacy server push came from the Nostalrius core, right? The whole Nostalrius storyline. And I'm like, this is what people want. You know how a lot of people now say like Classic Plus, they want Turtle WoW? I think Classic Plus kind of came before Turtle WoW, like the idea of vanilla but more. I mean, this is like a mythical beast that we've talked about since the end of Classic. Because it was around, I think it was around Burning Crusade time when we really started talking about it. Like, well, what if they didn't do Burning Crusade? What if they did something else? And then there's like the OSRS model and this and that or whatever. But yeah, I think that the Blizz-like sort of thought process, that's what they called it Blizz-like servers that went through each of the 11 patches. So I told Blizzard, I was like, hey, 4 patches will actually kill the game. You can't do that. It needs to be probably 8, minimum 6. They ended up changing their mind and they ended up going with 7 patches, actually. They ended up going with 7 patches, I think, for vanilla, which is cool, right? Because you need to have like the content release spaced out properly. Now, kind of going back to the spell batching thing, my concern was the spell batching that people know about is the spell batching that people are doing on private servers, which was like 200 milliseconds, combat only. But vanilla's spell batching wasn't spell batching. It was a server tick, like 400 millisecond server tick batch type thing. Every time you talk to somebody, anytime you vendor something, any NPC, everything that you do is on a 400 millisecond batch, and it just made the game feel laggy and bad. So now people have a really bad impression of batching. And I think there's currently like a 10 millisecond batch in Classic. I still think that maybe there's a world where like 100 or 200 milliseconds would have worked if it was combat only. But that's what I was concerned about from the beginning. And unfortunately, like I actually was right about it. I was like, this ended up being bad. But anyway, this is like old like 2019 stories and stuff, right? That's kind of like my history, right? So leading up to Classic 2019, kind of everything we did with Classic WoW was super cool. But this is a video, dude, this is a video from 7 years ago. Let's see.
I am so excited to announce that WoW Classic is finally here. The game that we've all been waiting years for is finally coming, and tomorrow we're going to get our first real taste with the release of the WoW Classic beta. Now, this is going to be a closed beta, but anyone with a Battle.net account can apply to join the beta, which I'll explain in this video. My name is Esfand, and we're going to be going over everything related to the release of the official Legacy server.
And welcome to Loot
From
Goblins.
the Classic beta to the actual release date, along with the world's first, never before seen, Classic WoW beta footage. So, here's exactly what you guys want to know. The Classic closed beta is announced for tomorrow, May 15th. During the beta,
This is so funny because like
full access to all the content in the game from level 1 to level 30. This includes full access to questing, world PvP, professions, dungeons, and much, much more. WoW Classic is confirmed to release on August 27th, 2019 of this year. There will be phased content release, which means that the content will be rolled out in 6 different patches instead of the entire game being accessible at once. And here's the best part: there is no extra cost to play WoW Classic.
Blizzard, like going to Blizzard this time was nothing like this, by the way.
WoW subscription.
Yeah.
So, here's what we know so far. There's going to be some differences between original Vanilla WoW and the new WoW Classic.
Make Azeroth great again.
The absolute most important things that you should know about include the fact that the game is based off the.
Anyway, we're not gonna go over all this, but yeah. Wait, what is the most replayed? What is the most replayed portion of this?
Something with them trying to simulate spell batching. That's pretty nitty gritty, and that's the kind of stuff we get into.
Who is
on my
Blau?
streams and whenever it comes to Classic WoW, right
There's
there. you
another
actually
guy
saw the
named
same kind of
Blau.
thing happen with Repentance. Like I clearly Repentance the guy before his heal finished going off. And
I'm complaining about the game being buggy or lagging or something. Dude, I repentance a guy, man. That's funny. Companies do stuff like that all the time where they'll bring people in. Now, the thing with Blizzard in 2019 was a little bit different. Bringing in like a focus group of people to just like ask them questions and pick their brain about like different concepts is like a different thing than something like what happened in 2019. Right, where in 2019 it was like, hey, like we're gonna give you a chance to record a video. It was actually like a bunch of retail streamers and Classic Cast. If Classic Plus was to come out, when do you think it would be, this year or next? So here's what I think. I think that they would do Wrath, because if you have Burning Crusade this year and then Wrath next year, I think Classic Plus would be such a big undertaking that it would probably be the year after that. Yeah, I personally don't like Wrath. I won't play Wrath. If they're still planning on doing Wrath, I think it would be next year. Because if Burning Crusade this year, Wrath next year, unless they were to release both at the same time, which, by the way, that's not crazy either. Blizz loves nothing more than to cannibalize their own audience. Like, they released Midnight like a month after Burning Crusade, and then it was like, if you were deep in Burning Crusade, like it's like, it was hard to just play Midnight, you know? No one wants Wrath. No, I think a lot of people want Wrath, right? In the original timeline, Wrath was huge, but also like, Wrath had the most people that quit the game as well. So it had the most players, but it also had the most people that quit the game. So the Wrath population, if you look at like the original, if you look at this, like this is the launch, vanilla, Burning Crusade is where you have all this growth, right? So Burning Crusade is here, Burning Crusade, and then this is Wrath, right around here. And it goes up like 1 million, and then it comes back down, and then this is Cataclysm, I think. So like you have your growth, this is where your growth takes like the biggest hit before like, you know, this, right? This is crazy. Was this WoD? I think so many people came back for WoD thinking about Burning Crusade, but then they eventually stopped releasing subscriber numbers. Yeah, like even I came back for WoD and I was done. You know, the WoD hype was crazy. Do you think Northrend should be in Classic Plus? It's a good question. Maybe eventually as like big patch content. My kind of vision of a Classic Plus is, what if vanilla never ended? Level 60 WoW, what if vanilla WoW never ended? And what does that mean? I'm talking about like horizontal progression at level 60. So these are the things that I would want. You're there, you're in Azeroth, vanilla never ended, quote, and all the things and all the places in the map. What the okay, really? Me? Sir, you're gonna come at me? You don't know who you're messing with. You think I'm just AFK sitting here thumbing my nuts, brother? I'm the Red Bull, baby, and I still got it. Chat, you gotta drink the bull to become the bull, baby. That's how it works. So my general vision, my general idea for what a Classic Plus will be is vanilla forever. Okay, quote, what is vanilla forever? I think it's, if you go in there and you take the map of Azeroth, right? The whole reason I even logged in to my era character is to take a look at this thing. So here's the map of Azeroth, original, right? This is the vanilla WoW map as of patch 1.12. You have some other things here, right? Like you have some islands floating out here. You have the Eastern Kingdoms, you have Kalimdor. A lot of these places you can't even click on them, right? They're inaccessible. You can't click on them. There's different areas of the map. For example, like there's like this mountain range here, and then, wait, this is discovered? I thought you couldn't go here. Oh wait, no, I think we did go here for, I think we like, I don't know, I think this character is bugged because this character doesn't even say I ever got Grand Marshal, I'm pretty sure. Oh, it does say I have Grand Marshal, but it says my lifetime honorable kills is 32,000 and it was like 95,000. Yeah, this character's bugged. Whenever they did this, like, this character's been like transferred like 3 times and like broke the character. So when you say, what if vanilla never ends and, you know, you're at level 60 forever, what does that really mean? You need to have some kind of progression and some kind of content flow, like a stream of content that comes in that lasts a long enough time that is not ruined by power creep or by, I mean, power creep is probably the biggest one. When you're talking about design, power creep is probably the biggest thing that is a problem. When you're talking about just getting bored, there needs to be something that the player feels, like some kind of progression that the player feels to where they're still having fun playing it. There's a lot of different stuff to unpack in that statement. And I don't even know if I'm going to talk about it all at once today, but I'm going to try to. When I say what if vanilla never ended, when they made this game, and we've talked to people in the past, we've talked to some of the original devs, we've talked to Mark Kern, we've talked to Kevin Jordan, we've talked to John Statz, we've talked to Jeff Kaplan, we've talked to a lot of people that worked on this game in 2004, the vanilla version of this game. We've talked to Omar Gonzalez over the years. One of the things that has come up when we've talked to these people, there's a lot of things within this game that were like kind of planned or semi-planned or used as placeholders that never really got expanded upon, but they were a part of like the Warcraft universe. Okay. For example, right here, you have the Eastern Plaguelands and you have a path that goes up here. This has been in the game, right? This is something that was in the game, but you don't see it until Burning Crusade comes out. And then you have the Ghostlands and Quel'The the Lost, like this whole area here for the High Elves and the Blood Elves, right? Now, this is kind of like a no-brainer, I think. I think having like High Elves is like, if you were to open this up and put the High Elves in Classic Plus, I think that would be sick. And I know that's something they did in Turtle WoW. I think that's a great idea. It's super easy. It's a layup. It's kind of like the easiest option is to give people High Elves. I think that they would join the Alliance. Now, what the problem with that is, now you have 2 elves on the Alliance and no elves on the Horde. The whole reason why the Horde got Blood Elves in original Burning Crusade is because, hey, we need to give the Horde a pretty race. They need a pretty race. That was literally what happened. That was the problem. I actually think you shouldn't have Blood Elves in Classic Plus. I think Blood Elves, well, hold on. I have this whole idea in my head of like this freaking lore world scenario. I'm actually gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna explain that later. But I'm gonna keep going on the trajectory here of talking about there's so many different places in the world of Warcraft you could expand on, right? Like there's this area here that I'm pretty sure is inaccessible. I know it's discovered on this map, but we might have like glitched there for a dueling tournament at some point, I'm pretty sure. But this is like an inaccessible area outside of the Tirisfal Glades starting area, the undead starting area. Maybe there's something that you can add there. I think you can go through a lot of these different places, these different like mountain ranges. You have this area behind Stormwind is like this big ass mountain range that goes into Dun Morogh and Coldridge Valley. What if you took this mountain range and you built something between Coldridge Valley and Stormwind? These are areas that you could have different zones that they build out. Old Ironforge, the Ironforge Airport, even things that are already in the game like Karazhan. Karazhan, this is Vanilla WoW. Karazhan is in Vanilla WoW. You can't access it, but you can see it. Karazhan is there. You have Karazhan crypts behind it that ended up not ever being anything until Sod that decided to make a dungeon out of it. That's whenever I say like, what if you had vanilla forever? There's so much that you can add to this world, and a lot of it they did. This is not a new idea. They did this in Cataclysm. They went through and they were like, yeah, what if we build out the Twilight Highlands? What if we build out Mount Hyjal? Okay, you have Hyjal here. Again, you can't click on it. It's inaccessible technically. Look, I heard the guy stealth. Is he gonna gank me again? Even though you can like wall jump and you can glitch through something. If you go through Dark Whisper Forge, if you go through Dark Whisper Gorge, there's a portal with a raid instance down here somewhere. There's a portal with a raid instance, and there's like construction signs and stuff on the other side of Hyjal. It's very interesting. So like they kind of like threw Easter eggs in the world for things they wanted to do, and they just kind of didn't do it. Ashara, this is an unfinished zone. Silithus, this is an unfinished zone. This was nothing until AQ40. So they had these areas in the game that they didn't expand on. I think you could expand on Ungoro Crater maybe. Probably not. You probably couldn't really do Ungoro. I don't know. There's a lot there, right? Ungoro into the Thousand Needles. There's all these different areas. Maybe the Isle of Dread. Maybe you do something new in the Isle of Dread. My idea is you take the silhouette of this map and you fill out all the parts of this map that were never filled out. Timbermaw Hold is another one, yes. So you can go to Ashara. Timbermaw Hold is right here. Timbermaw Hold could be a place. Maybe you do something in Duswalla Marsh. Duswalla Marsh kind of sucks, but like maybe you do some things to make these places a little bit better. Dude, you could do a whole thing with Ashara, and you can bring Ashara Crater. Ashara Crater is a battleground that never actually released. They were gonna make another battleground called Ashara Crater, and they decided not to do it. They were like, oh, this thing's a shit show, and they like threw it in the trash. But what if you pulled it out of the trash and you blow the dust off, you wipe it up, you clean it up a little bit, spruce it up, and you make Ashara Crater. I think Ashara Crater, I think that would be so hype. Because To be fair, they threw in the trash because it sucked. Yes, they threw in the trash because it's bad. I mean, you can go into Tanaris, the Caverns of Time that you go into in Burning Crusade. It's there in vanilla. You go to Oldham. Oldham, this is a big, when we talk about Cataclysm, Oldham gets expanded on in Cataclysm. Now, I don't know if you do the same thing that you did in Cataclysm with Oldham, but Oldham is like a massive, massive piece of lore with like the Titans and the Dwarves. And if you go to Uldaman in the Badlands, there's a whole quest chain that leads you to Oldham. And then it just kind of stops. Do a Stormwind raid, the portal is already there. So the portal in Stormwind is actually meant for housing. The original, that big portal with a gate is meant to be WoW housing for the Alliance. If you go to this area right here in Stormwind in Vanilla WoW, there's a big gated area in Stormwind with a portal, and that was intended to be housing. It never came to fruition. There's so much content potentially that you can build out in this map of vanilla. Now, again, they did a lot of that with like the Twilight Highlands right here. I'm trying to think of what else. Now, this area behind Stratholme, what if Stratholme was like an outdoor zone? What if Stratholme was a raid? You know, if you go into Stratholme and you go to Baron and then you turn left, the zombies rush out before you kill Baron, and that gate closes. Behind that gate, if you go inside, there's another gate and there's a raid portal. What if they expanded the city of Stratholme? Now, eventually their Stratholme Undead Raid or whatever, it became Nax. You can't click on, let's see, Badlands, Burning Steppes, Red Ridge Mountains. Like, what is this? I'm pretty sure in the Cataclysm, they just deleted this chunk of land. What is this? What is this? This is another mountain range behind, like, look at how much room there is for them to add stuff. Now, is it too much? Maybe, I don't know, right? I'm kind of going over all the different places. I think you can add something in the Stone Talon Mountains, right? For the Alliance, there's not really a whole lot to do in Stone Talon. Maybe that's okay. Maybe you do something here in Desolus, I don't know. Desolus, Feralus, Mulgore. Maybe there's something there. Maybe something with the Isle of Dread. Dude, look at this massive chunk of the zone of Silithus. You see this? You come to Silithus and it just has a line. So the Silithus that we see, by the way, it ends here with AQ. And you go into AQ and you go into the tunnel, right? So like AQ is just massive. That chunk is the raid. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's actually insane how big AQ actually is. I never noticed this place on the map you can't click. In Cataclysm, they actually addressed all this. But like, there's just so much that you can do, man. There's so much to be done. And I think that's just freaking cool. What are these islands? I think they add these islands. Isn't one of these like Kultiris? So look at this. Reddit user Rihanna Lord has posted a gigantic map of Azeroth in the Classic WoW subreddit. Should they add another race to Classic Plus? I mean, I think if they were to add another race, I think they should add High Elves and Ogres. Oh, this is kind of sick, actually. Look at this. This is somebody's drawing from like 7 years ago. Wait, this is so sick. Wait, this is so detailed. But look at this. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, between Stormwind and Coleridge, there's so many places, man. What are these? What are these islands? I think in Cataclysm they add these. Oh, see, they don't have this stuff filled out, but this is like Ghostlands, all the Blood Elf stuff. Like, I think if they wanted to do that, if they wanted to add that, they could add this as like a whole High Elf area. Oh wait, Kultiris is like, I thought Kultiris was here because you have the Kultiran Marines in Durotar. I guess eventually it like changes, right? They put Kultiris here. Cataclysm happens and it changes everything because the big sundering happens, the Cataclysm happens. So whenever the Cataclysm happens, everything gets scrambled anyway. So these could be anything. Thank you guys so much for watching, putting up with me and my glasses, my nerd glasses. I got something going on in my eye. It's bothering me, but hey, thank you guys so much for watching. YouTube, Instagram, Discord, Twitch, everything is EsfandTV. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to comment, like, whatever, subscribe, do all those things, turn on notifications. We do all kinds of different stuff here. I hope you guys like it, and we'll see you guys next time.